is money is God in action, because God is everything and money is no exception. And so if you have been living your life that, everything spiritual is over here and then there's money over here, that healing would be for you to just kind of include money in everything as God in action. And our goal is to get happy with your money and heal anything that feels painful or fearful or unbalanced, and if that's not how you'd spend your money, put your own picture up there. But we've talked about, this is the last week, last Sunday in July, so I'm not going to be talking directly about money next month. It's going to be an equally provocative and fabulous theme. But we've talked about how money responds to our consciousness. And for those of you who are new to this philosophy, if there's someone here that doesn't know that word consciousness, it means that what we hold as likely true is likely true to us. That's the way the world mirrors back to us. And so our consciousness is our beliefs and our fears and our attitudes and our assumptions and our hopes and all of that emotional package that says, this is how I see the world, this is how I wish it was, but this is really how I see it. And how you really see it is how the world shows up for you. So how you really feel about money is how it shows up for you. And so we talked about that. We talked about how there is enough and that we are enough. And as far as the beliefs about money, you either have something along the lines of abundance follows me all the days of my life, or money is hard to come by. Somewhere in there is pretty much all of us, and money responds by just saying, yes, this is how I'm showing up for you. So today we're finishing up, and as much as possible, I would like everyone to be completely at peace about your money, whether you are earning it, spending it, saving it, or using it to help others. And my topic is really about helping others and making a world of difference, just like in the song. I want to draw your attention to this beautiful altar that Carine did today. And there are symbols of abundance and prosperity. There are gold nuggets, there's gold coins, and there's this wonderful hand that is right up at the top there. I'd love for you to spend some time at the altar. It has a giant diamond in it, and it's offering that to you. I'd like to use it on another altar, so don't take that. But there are some things on the altar that you can have, and I'm going to talk about that later. But just this generosity of spirit is what I appreciate about this altar, because our topic today is how to become a philanthropist. And I think when we think about philanthropy, we think about, names that we know like Rockefeller or somebody that funds, or Bill Gates, that funds huge things. But anybody can be a philanthropist. The definition that I found online is a person who seeks to promote the welfare of others, especially by the generous donation of money to good causes. So any amount of money that you give to a good cause for benefiting others, you can call yourself a philanthropist. And that's what I want all of us to be able to do, because it has to do with how we use our money to help others. And it also has to do with how we serve others in other ways than money, how Heart to Heart gives food or gives rides, and not directly money, but services. But I want to point out something about the consciousness around giving of money or giving of services, if it's an or. If you say to yourself, well, I'm really happy to give of my time and my love, but not so much about my money because I don't have very much money, that's consciousness. And that is going to mirror back to you with feeling pretty good about giving your service and feeling poor. So you can't fool the divine law, which mirrors back to you exactly what your consciousness is. So if you refrain from giving money for any reason that is involved with fear, which is the only reason I can think of that you would refrain from giving your money to something good, that will come back to you as lack. That's exactly the way it is. So anytime you have an opportunity to give open-heartedly any bit of money, that is going to be really, really good for you because it comes back. So it's really good to give both, actually, money and service. And remember, Jim Huntley shared with you last week about giving so generously and how that felt for him. So I consulted him on this talk, too, because he's one of the philanthropists of our community. And he very simply said, allow money to start to flow out. Because remember, he said, he doesn't make any more money, like maybe 2% more than when he felt really poor, but he allowed money to start to flow out. And that's the word he used, flow. And that's what I want for all of us, not to, give it with such a tight fist that it's like, okay, but to let it flow and actually begin to give back because we have so much, really. I'm going to read a couple of things today from The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. The tagline is transforming your relationship with money and with life. So in the conclusion, there's this part about the you and me world. She's talked about the you or me world, which is where a lot of us live. Either I've got it or I have to give it to you. But the you and me world is that we share and share lovingly. And she quotes Buckminster Fuller as saying, he warned that it might be upsetting, confusing, even cataclysmic, but that when the transformation takes place, a new world will have been born, a world in which we treasure that there is enough, we steward it wisely, and live in a context of sufficiency and prosperity for all, the paradigm of you and me. And then she goes on to say, in many ways, it's worse than we think. And she talks about terrorism and violence and revenge and so forth. And then the very next paragraph, she says, and at the same time, it's better than we hope. Hundreds of millions of people are at work, awake to the challenges and tackling them at every level. Countless organizations and initiatives have sprung up throughout the world, addressing the basic needs of all humanity and all life. So I'm going to bring to you today a story of one of these precious movements that are there simply to help others. And it was on the internet, and then I dug a little bit deeper. And it's the story of the 9 Nanas. This is actually one of the Nanas, and they are secretive. They give in secret. That's why we just see her cute blonde hair. So, somewhere in West Tennessee, not far from Graceland, 9 women, or the 9 Nanas, as they prefer to be called, gather in the darkness of night. At 4 a.m., they begin their daily routine, a ritual that no one, not even their husbands, knew about for 30 years. They have one mission and one mission only, to create happiness. And it all begins with baked goods. One of us starts sifting the flour and another washing the eggs, explained Nana Mary Ellen, the appointed spokesperson for their secret society. And someone else makes sure the pans are all ready. We switch off depending on what we feel like doing that day. But you make sure to say Nana Pearl is in charge because she's the oldest, she added with a wink and a smile. So these women have met at 4 in the morning to bake hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pound cakes and cookies and so forth, and you'll hear more about them throughout the talk. But what they do is they personify love. And one of my favorite quotes from our founder is the definition of love, which is the self-givingness of spirit. And so we replicate that nature when we give and give generously. And when we give and give generously with an open heart, like that beautiful open flower, we identify with our Creator, because God has given everything and continues to give everything. God gives the sunrise every single morning. God gives the next breath every time you breathe and you're not even aware of it, the next heartbeat, giving, giving, giving. And so we emerge straight from that giving heart of God into the world. And so when we are the same as, when we behave the same way as the infinite presence, then we are in harmony with everything. And in fact, we must give because it's our nature. It's our nature to flow like the blood in our veins and like the breath in our lungs. And if we don't flow like that, we die. It's as simple as that. Flowing has to happen. So we either express spirit in that self-givingness a little or a lot. We have to, or we're gone from the planet. So a little or a lot. Which do you think makes you happier? To give a little or give a lot? Right. Here is a little graph that shows. So nobody wants to be stingy. That's a punitive word, but that's the way we are when we hold on. And we hold on because we have a fear of lack. When we have a fear of lack and think that we're benefiting ourselves by holding on, we are hurting ourselves through the consciousness of lack, because what we will experience is more lack. That's the way the law works. Conversely, on this side, with generosity, we have ease and flow. So the idea is to inch yourself up to the generous side. Wherever you are, and we're all, and we kind of move in our own little range. We have our little thermostat of, I'm giving too much, so I'm going to go down to the stingy end a little bit, and then we go, oh, come on, just open up and give, and we march up to the generous end, and the idea is to keep going in that direction. And sometimes life scooches us up to that side, which is so great when we recognize that. So I had a conversation with someone in our community today, and they don't exactly want to be identified, but they said, you go ahead and tell the story. So the story is that this person had surgery and was convalescing, and you know how it is when you're convalescing. You're sometimes in pain, and you're sometimes lonely because you're alone, and you ache and you feel kind of punky. And so she was going, well, why me, why me? And then God gave her this revelation of, look at all the people who are realizing their life dream and receiving money from caring for you. And she decided that she was a part of the generous flow of life and part of abundance. Now, yeah, isn't that great? Isn't that great? That is a successful reframe. To go from, I had this surgery, why me, to, oh, I am part of the generous flow of life because I provided money for all of these healthcare people who are living their dream. Okay? You can do that with whatever it is that you're on this side about, all right? So we can catch a vision of how we can be well used. That person was well used in a surprising way, of course, but we can get this vision, and that's what the Nanas did. So back to the Nanas. Mama Ruth would read in the paper that someone had died, Mary Ellen remembered, and she'd send off one of her special pound cakes. She didn't have to know the family. She just wanted to put a little smile on their faces. And we started thinking about what we could do to make a difference like that. What if we had $1 million? How would we spend it? Now, isn't that the best way to think about $1 million? How would we spend it on others? To make a difference in the world, to make a world of difference. So what we do, and what the Nanas did, is they take the first step. They made the first pound cake to start the flow. So anything that you can do, you want flow in your life, give it. Give it, and the flow will start. Give some money, just start wherever you are inspired to give, and do it open-heartedly. Just say, I am a part of the divine flow of life, and plunk down some money somewhere. Put a $5 bill in an envelope and mail it to somebody in the phone book, Or, I love that. Back to the Nanas. One of the sisters suggested that we should all start doing our own laundry and put the money we saved to good use. I admit I protested at first. There's just something about laundry that I don't like. But I was outnumbered. So among the 9 of us, we'd put aside about $400 a month, and our husbands never noticed a thing. Their shirts looked just fine. And then the women started listening. They'd eavesdrop, with all good intentions, of course, at the local beauty shop or when they were picking up groceries. And when they heard about a widow or a single mom who needed a little help, they'd step in and anonymously pay a utility bill or find some new clothes for the children. Is that amazing? So they took the first step, and the next step was there, and the next step was there, and all of a sudden they were replicating spirit all over the place. They were taking this money from their laundry and just paying people's bills with it. The Nanas would find out where a person lived and send a package with a note that simply said, "Somebody loves you." And they'd be sure to include one of Mama Ruth's special pound cakes. The more people they helped, the bolder they became. We gave new meaning to the term drive-by. Mary Ellen said with delight, "We drive through some low-income neighborhoods and look for homes that had fans in the window. That told us that the people who lived there didn't have air conditioning. Or we'd see that there was no lights on at night, which meant there was a good chance their utilities had been turned off. Then we'd return before sun came up like cat burglars and drop off a little care package." Is that the best? I mean, really. So the spiritual use of money can be a great part of a life of vision. And it's a major way that we transform the world, because the world does operate with money. And so if we want to leave a legacy, if we want to make a world of difference, we cannot ignore money. We have to use it as part of our flow of life and how we serve the world. So do you want to know how to use money to fulfill your vision? All right, so this is what the lesson is about. How to use money to fulfill our visions. It's really so simple, and it's actually fun. Can you get how fun this is for these women? How they search for and then deliver such blessings. And it's just consciousness. When you get into that mindset of where can I give next, it is so fun. It really is. So this is what you do. You discern what you believe in, and then you give to it. You discern what you believe, and then you give to it. So one of the first times that I taught the foundations class, it was when I was on staff here, actually before I became a minister. I was teaching, it was called Science of Mind 1 then, and as usual at the end of the class, you have a project. So this woman who loved to give to environmental causes did a project at the end of this that was, she got a styrofoam ball that she painted like the world, and then she pinned on it the logos of all of the organizations that serve, environmentalism and nature that she had given to. And the way she talked about this, it was like beatific. She said, "I love to give to nature." And she said, I love Save the Whales, I love Greenpeace, I love she named off a bunch of them. And then she said this, she said, when you give to one, you get on the mailing list of all the others. And it was like, this was the best thing in the world. because everybody sent her envelopes to fill up. So she had this stack of envelopes on her desk, and she would tithe to the next one and the next one and the next one, and then she'd pin the logos on her world, and she made a world of difference because she gave to what she believed in. Her spiritual path was serving the world in this way with her money. Did she have a whole lot of money? Well, no. She gave a little bit of money every time, every paycheck she tithed on it. She paid a little bit and then a little bit more and a little bit more, and she spread out her money around the world to good causes. And can you feel how she felt? She was serving her purpose. Okay, so that's one. Next one, discern where you are spiritually fed and give to it. That's it. Now, where you're spiritually fed is when you feel that inspiration. When you hear a story, or when you read an article, or hopefully when you come to the center and you leave and you're going, wow, I've got some ideas about how I can make my life better, how I can feel closer to God, how my consciousness can be raised, how I can heal my life. That's being inspired and spiritually fed. And then if you follow with the symbol of your life force, which is money, you follow that inspiration, a whole bunch of things happen. First of all, you are supporting an amazingly good thing in the world. You are making a world of difference by serving a very good cause. You are identifying where you are spiritually fed and giving to it, so that's consciousness, and you will be spiritually fed over and over and over again. And because you are giving your money so selflessly, you will get more money. So it's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win. So a number of years ago, I'm not going to tell this whole story because it's kind of involved, but I was driving, I was listening to a CD, or it was a tape back then, and it was about, it had dragons in it, and it also had something about self-love in it, or self-hate. Then I stopped to get a beverage at a convenience store, and I was wasting time, and I looked at the cards. And there was a card with this adorable dragon on it looking in a mirror. And the greeting on the inside was about how the dragon looked at his face and loved himself and then felt love in the world. So it was like boom, boom. It was like, you need to pay attention to this. And here was the dragon, and here was the message, and I'm going, whoa. I mean, really, it was like a lightning bolt there, in the 7-Eleven. And so I bought the card, and I had to really look for who the artist was, because I wanted to tithe to the artist, because I was spiritually fed by this silly little dragon looking in the mirror. And so I found the artist. He was an artist in Laguna Beach. I found somehow his address. I wrote an $80 tithe check, and I included a letter saying, your work spiritually fed me, and because of my belief in the power of tithing, I am compelled to give you this gift. Please accept it for your good work. Well, I got back in the mail not only this astonished thank you letter, like, I never heard of this before, I can't believe it, because you asked the way you did, I will accept the $80, but here, take this. And he sent me piles of his work. He sent me big, big pictures of dragons that I had framed for my baby's rooms. He sent me little pictures of dragons. He sent me more cards. I had his entire work, I think, that he put in this box, well more than $80. And that's the win-win-win-win that you get when you give to where you're spiritually fed. Next, discern a clear need and give to it. So there are there is a position, a good position, a worthwhile position in metaphysics that said, I do not use the word need because that creates neediness. I don't subscribe to that because I believe that there are clear needs in the world, and for me, a need does not remind me that I'm needy. A need is an opening that wants to be filled. So this opening that wants to be filled, if I notice it, I can fill it. So that's why we do give to charity. That's why we give to worthy purposes. This is, I think, my last Nana quote. These days, the Nanas are able to take on even bigger projects given their online success. Because you can actually, and I'll put this in my outgoing letter, I'll send you their website where you can order their cakes. Recently, they donated more than $5,000 of pillows and linens and personal care products to a shelter for survivors of domestic violence. And then, this August, they'll celebrate their second consecutive Happiness Happens Month by sending tokens of their appreciation to one person in every state who has made a difference in their own community. And that $1 million they once wished for, they're almost there. In the last 35 years, the 9 Nanas have contributed nearly $900,000 of happiness to their local community because they saw a need and they filled it. So when you do these things, you feel yourself in the flow. You can't not. You can't not. And the flow is not only creating good all around you, but the joy that comes from that. And so your energy flows to your visions. And not only your energy, but you end up giving your time, your money, your life force, your prayer, and serving all of those around you. And you get a win-win-win-win situation. And so, to conclude about the word philanthropist, the etymology of that word is very telling. The phil, P-H-I-L part of the word is a Greek word meaning love. It comes from the word phileo. And phileo is brotherly love. It's the same as in the word Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. So philanthropist, anthro, is humanity, like anthropology. So you literally have love of humankind. And we know that when we follow the feeling with speech and action, we are completely congruent. We are completely in the flow. We are completely in our own power. So, one more little quote from Lynn Twist. Every one of us creates a legacy in the way we live now. We create a legacy of sufficiency or scarcity. In many ways, but especially in our relationship with money, we can deplete and take, accumulate and hold, or we can nourish, share, allocate, and spend consciously and contribute. And that's what I want for all of us, because allocating and spending consciously and contributing makes us happy. And then more hands can go up when I ask how many of you are more joyful. So here is the going deeper for those of you who are like on fire. This is it. Set an enormous vision of giving and serve it. Okay? So, the altar. In this pot of gold are gold nuggets. And here's what you can do if you want. I've already done this today. I took 3 of these gold nuggets, because 3 of them, 3 together look pretty intentional. And I put them someplace where someone could find them and think how great I've found gold nuggets in the world. I put them on the stairs coming into the kids' club. Right on this, there's 3 gold nuggets. And some little kid's going to find them and think that that's just fabulous. And so you can come, and I don't take more than 3, but you can have 3 gold nuggets and do whatever you want with them. You can keep them in your pocket, you can put them on your altar, or you can put them in a little pile in the world and have someone find them and think that they found something great. They've found gold nuggets in the world. And that serves this feeling of abundance and prosperity for us all. Thank you. So, in the inner work, just with your eyes half open, look at that pot of gold on the altar. And then imagine you have that very pot of gold in your lap. And just like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, there is a never-ending supply of goodness that comes from this pot of gold. But the trick is, you can't hang on to it. You have to give it away. So imagine that you give away the gold coins, you give away the gold nuggets, you give away the big chunks of gold, and then you give away that money. You give away the paper money with the 1 on it and the 5 on it, and the 20 on it, and the 100 on it. And every time you give, your heart is enlarged. Because in that pot of gold is your time, your talent, and your treasure. That which has been given to you to give again. And it does no good if it stays in your lap. And so to give your time, to give your talent, those gifts that were given to you to give to the world, and to give a portion of your treasure that you use to buy things to be comfortable, you give to others so that they can buy things to be comfortable. Because to make a world of difference, pretty much everybody in the world has to be comfortable. And so all that we can do to give again, and to give again. Blessed be.